Before we begin, subscribe and uncover the hidden technologies that kept people alive when history turned dark. Some inventions didn't win battles. They saved the survivors. There was a stove in World War II that burned with almost no flame, no glow, no smoke, no beacon in the night. And on the open ocean, that invisibility meant survival. When ships were torpedoed in the Atlantic, sailors had minutes to escape. If they survived the explosion, they faced something slower: exposure, freezing wind, salt spray, icy rain, days adrift. Lifeboats carried emergency rations: hard biscuits, condensed milk, chocolate, tins of water. Enough calories to delay starvation. But here's the problem no one talks about. Cold food in freezing conditions drains the body faster. Cold water lowers core temperature. Morale collapses quickly without warmth. So why not light a fire? Because the ocean wasn't empty. German U-boats patrolled the darkness. A flicker of flame on the horizon could mark a lifeboat's position, and in some documented cases, survivors were interrogated, or worse. So sailors faced a terrifying dilemma: freeze quietly, or risk being seen. The solution was something almost invisible. Inside British and Allied lifeboat kits was a simple device. A foldable metal stand, solid fuel tablets, a ration tin placed on top. The fuel, hexamine, a chemical compound discovered in the 19th century. Stable, compact, long shelf life. When ignited, it burned cleanly, producing heat with almost no visible flame. No bright yellow fire, no billowing smoke, just a faint, nearly invisible blue shimmer. In daylight, you might see it. At night, from a distance, nothing. And that was the point. Hexamine doesn't produce much soot. That bright orange glow we associate with fire comes from glowing carbon particles. Without soot, there's no bright light, just heat. Enough to warm water, enough to heat rations, enough to fight hypothermia, without advertising your location. When hexamine burns, it breaks down primarily into carbon dioxide, water vapour and nitrogen compounds. It's efficient and relatively smokeless. For lifeboats, that mattered. A traditional flame reflects off waves. It flickers. It signals. Even a cigarette ember can travel miles across dark water. But this stove? It glowed so faintly that beyond the lifeboat's edge it vanished into the night. In a war defined by radar, sonar and searchlights, this was survival through absence. No signal, no silhouette, no flare. Imagine, just for a moment, drifting for 3 days. Your clothes are stiff with salt, your fingers are numb, and, well, your thoughts are slow. Then someone opens the ration tin, sets up the stove, and strikes a match. You barely see the flame. But minutes later, steam curls upward, and, warmth passes from hand to hand. That moment, it changes everything. Modern survival psychology, it confirms it. Warmth stabilizes morale. A hot drink lowers stress, improves clarity, and restores a sense of control. In a lifeboat, where panic could spread faster than fire, this tiny stove created ritual. Boil water, share evenly, wait together. It wasn't just about calories, it was about hope. International law forbade attacking shipwreck survivors. But you see, war often ignored law. There were confirmed incidents of lifeboats being fired upon. Survivors questioned, evidence erased. That reality, well, it shaped lifeboat protocol. No lights after dark, no shouting, no unnecessary signals. And if heat was needed, use the flameless stove. Quietly. Because in the end, being rescued required surviving the night first. Think about the design challenge, right? The stove had to be lightweight. It needed to be waterproof, stable in rough seas, and, well, safe inside wooden lifeboats. Non-explosive too, foolproof under stress. And it had to work after, months stored in emergency kits. No electronics, no moving parts, no pressurized gas, just a folding frame and a chemical fuel block. It's easy to overlook because it's simple. But honestly, simplicity under extreme constraint is engineering at its highest level. Maximum survival, minimum visibility. Here's why you've probably never heard of it. It didn't sink ships. It didn't win battles. It didn't change the course of the war. It kept survivors alive long enough to be rescued. And, history rarely celebrates what merely prevents tragedy. But consider this. After a torpedo strike, survival rates depended not just on reaching a lifeboat, but enduring days at sea. Warm liquids reduce hypothermia risk. Heated rations maintain strength. Small comforts prevent despair. Multiply that across thousands of sinkings in the Atlantic. Suddenly, this minor device doesn't seem so minor. Look at modern military MRE heaters, flameless ration heaters that warm food through chemical reactions, search and rescue kits, disaster preparedness packs, mountaineering survival gear. The concept lives on, heat without flame, because in certain situations, visibility is vulnerability. The DNA of that WWII Lifeboat stove still exists in modern survival design. Picture a black and white photograph, a cluster of sailors wrapped in blankets, faces hollow from exhaustion, one man holding a tin cup. You can't see the stove, you can't see the flame, but steam drifts into the cold air. And that steam means they lasted another night. Sometimes survival doesn't roar. It barely flickers. In a war defined by explosions and firestorms, one life-saving tool was defined by the absence of flame. A stove that burned without light, heat that betrayed no one. An invention built not to fight, but to endure. It didn't change history's headlines. It changed who lived long enough to read them. If this story surprised you, subscribe for more forgotten technologies, hidden survival tools, and the quiet inventions that shaped history from the shadows. Because sometimes the smallest device on the darkest ocean carries the greatest weight.